Terry finished up a couple of years as president of the Salem Club, the Capital Wood Carvers, and leader there. And we've had him as a speaker in the past on his other passion, which is chainsaw carving. And this is the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the caricature side of the world. And he was honored to be inducted into the Caricature Carvers of America last September. And so he's one of specifically a small elite group of people, and it's well deserved. He's an expert in lots of things. I've taken 3 of his classes, and I need more, but I need practice. And I keep telling people caricatures are easy, except for the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the ears.
Yeah.
And so that's what the purpose of tonight is. We're going to start focusing on the hard part, and then have the one-day workshop, and hopefully the caricature classes will go better. Okay, Terry, I will spotlight you. If you want to talk about yourself a little bit more, please feel free. And
I think what you said is kind of funny, because I think of that often, that if it wasn't for the faces, carving caricatures would be easy. Yeah, but it's just not easy. And it takes practice. And anyway, thank you for the introduction, Larry. I appreciate it. I know a lot of you in the room tonight. Many of you I don't know, so I'll just repeat for some of you some of the things about myself and where I came from and how I got to this point in my my carving journey. 8 going on 9 years ago. I know this is sort of a cheesy story, but I've told it 100 times. Bonnie and I, my wife, we were at Fred Meyer's in Scappoose shopping, and I wanted to go look at magazines rather than do whatever we were going to do that day. And I was in the magazine section, and I picked up a copy of Wood Carving Illustrated magazine, and I was going through it, and I came across this caricature, and I thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. How do you do this? I had no idea. I didn't know anything about wood carving. I didn't have a knife. I have never carved anything up to that point. And to make a long story short, through a little bit of serendipity and fate, I found and discovered Jeff Harness, who many of you know, and he invited me to his house to carve with him and a group of folks on Wednesday nights, and religiously for the next couple of years, I was at his house every Wednesday carving. And from that, every chance I got, I would take a class, and I would put myself in front of really, really good carvers, and try to just soak up as much as I could and learn as much as I could, and get better. And that was 8 years ago, and that's taken me to where I'm at today. As Larry pointed out, last fall, became a member of the Caricature Carvers of America, which is a huge honor. And I still say, pinch me, I can't believe it. Wake me up when this dream is over. I never thought I'd ever get to that point or be recognized in that regard. So it's incredibly flattering and humbling. And anyway, it's a huge honor. So I'm really proud of that. Larry said, I hope it frustrates you, and I will agree with him. If you get frustrated and you go, God, I got to figure this out, I got to fix this, I got to learn how to get better. That's kind of your challenge, and my homework assignment for you for this class tonight is practice, 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 and then practice again. An aside to that, a similar story. Once in my life, several years ago, I was I would play the game of golf. I was never considered a golfer, but people would invite me to be on these on a foursome for a scramble golf tournament, or we're going to go out Saturday and play 9 holes. You want to go? And so maybe once or twice a year, I would go play golf. And I went out one time on a 4-person scramble, and I embarrassed myself. I was horrible at golf, but I wanted to get better. And I thought, how do I do this? I need somebody to show me. So I picked up the phone and I called the guy, and he's a friend of mine, and he's actually a PGA golfer. And I said, would you show me how to play this stupid game? Because I'm embarrassing myself, and without some instruction, I'm never going to get better. And he eagerly obliged, and we met out at this golf course and went out on the range. and I started hitting a bucket of balls. He just said, "Start swinging. Let me see what you got." And I started swinging, and I swung a few times, and he said, "Hang on a minute, fix this." And I tried to fix it, and it's hard. It's really hard. We went through a couple big buckets of balls and got to the end of this exercise, and I'm tired and I'm grumpy now because what he's showing me ain't working. I'm not. I mean, it would work if I could do it, but I can't. And I said, "Ernie, how do I get better?" And he said, "You got to practice, man. You got to get out here and hit balls every day." Well, I went home. That long drive home from that golf course, thinking, "Do I really want to do this? I don't. Do I want to put the time in to learn this game and get better? What does it mean to me at this point in my life? Well, nothing really. And well, that was it. That was the last day. I haven't touched a golf club or hit a golf ball since. Um, Still have clubs. Don't ask me why. I need to get rid of them. Um, I wasn't invested in the game, and I wasn't going to commit my life to getting better. So I gave up. I quit, and I haven't played. So I use that story to suggest to you that wood carving is absolutely no different. If you think for 1 minute that you can go to a class and pick up a few tips, go home and not pick up a knife again for another 6 months, and then go back at it, I think you'll be sorely mistaken, and you'll get frustrated, and you might quit. Um, you got to commit, and you got to carve, and you got to carve. And when you're tired of carving, you got to carve again. That's really the only way that I know, and people that are successful in this activity will tell you, you got to keep practicing, and you'll make a lot of chips, you'll make a lot of mistakes, and you'll get frustrated, and get back at it, and keep carving, and it'll get better. And I'm on this, like I said, going on 9-year journey now, and I still want to get better, and I want to be better. And every time I carve a face, I go, should have done it different. I could have done it better. I wish I would have changed this, or you know what, I'll get it on the next one. And I try again. And it's a journey. And I don't think, and I think most people will tell you, there's no end point in this thing that we're all on here. We pick up a knife and we get busy, but uh, we're never done. We're never finished learning and growing and getting better at this art of wood carving. So anyway, again, it's my challenge to you. My homework assignment is to just get better every day. Try to do something to improve yourself and improve your skills, and get better at wood carving. Where are we going, Larry? Gosh, was that helpful?
Yeah. So why don't you get into show the study stick that
Yeah.
you're going to do, which is you're going to work on tonight, but that'll be the basis for the 1-day workshop.
Yeah. So as Larry pointed out already, I've done a series of classes. Uh, gosh, for the last year, almost 2 years now, where I just took a 2x2 stick, a 2x2 piece of basswood, and I think my first one was a Santa Claus, and I carved a 2x2 by 12-inch Santa Claus, and then I taught a class on how to make a Santa, and students said, "Oh, more, let's do this again." So we changed it up, and we added we did a leprechaun and an Easter bunny, and we did a pirate with a parrot, and cowboys. Well, gosh, there's a bunch of them over here. Anyway, but as has already been pointed out a couple times, if it weren't for the faces, this would be easy. And so, Larry and a lot of you have asked about just focusing on faces. So, coming up next month, we're going to do the 1-day seminar and just focus on faces. And we're going to, everybody's going to walk away with the study stick. We're going to start with a 2x2. You can do study sticks, and there's a lot of them out there out of 1-inch stock. but we're going to do a 2x2. And I'm telling you this because it's going to give us a lot of room to play and add things and change things and make it unique to you and add things that maybe you're struggling with or that you want to focus on and get better at. So this will be our project for that March class. And I'm not done with it yet. I just started on it a couple days ago and knocked out some pieces. I'm going to add a few more things that I want to work on, but when we get to class, you'll do things that are important to you. But we'll start with just a basic face. And what I've got here is on this step one is just the eyebrow line, the nose, and then down here to where the chin's going to be. Then we'll do it again. Down here with the nose, we'll start to dig out the eyes here, start to make out some chin here, and you start to see the face coming around. Step three, we'll add these smile lines, and then I added this little cut here for where the chin is going to start. We'll start shaping up the mouth. Step four, we'll start poking in some corners of the eyes and start defining the mouth. And then when we're all done, we'll have that face down here in the bottom. Now, I was telling Larry earlier that I'm not exactly sure how long this is going to take, but I suspect that if we start at 9 o'clock in the morning, it'll be lunchtime, maybe a little bit later before we get this whole thing done, which leaves us the rest of the afternoon. Excuse me. And what I want to do is just start playing with faces. And so here I've done a grumpy face. I've done a guy that's smiling and squinting his eyes. And then I got a guy that's kind of got a quizzical, puzzled look on his face. I got room here for a couple more. And I'll try some different things and just play and see what happens. But my hope is that during the class, students like many of you in the room are going to say, hey, can you show me how to do the squinty eyes or the sleepy eyes, or hey, put a mustache on a guy and let's see what that looks like. Maybe we'll do a guy that's got a big smile, and here's a guy that I did a while back that's got some teeth and a mustache. Anyway, and we'll just give everybody a chance to play on the backside of this stick and just put some different faces on it and try some different things.
Can you talk about the difference between carving a female face and a guy's face?
That will be a different class.
Not here, but at the class, I mean.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. This whole study stick, as you can see, is a male face. And in the world of caricature carving, it's dominated by male faces. Male faces are easier. And I'll get into some of this here in a few minutes when we start talking about laying out a face. There are things that you ladies have in your faces that guys don't. The things that guys have on their faces, you can exaggerate and embellish, and you just get a funny looking guy. Women, when I start to embellish the things that are different about your face, it's not attractive, and you don't end up with attractive carving. You end up with a funny looking lady, and generally people don't want to carve funny looking women. I don't know, it sounds weird, but we'll carve a funny looking cowboy. But yeah, so anyway, my point in sharing all that is women are a different style of carving, a little bit different face, the way it's shaped and textured, a lot more rounding, and things are different. And we'll talk about that in the class when we get together. That's a whole other piece to this. But I want to go back to this for a second and show you that I've laid it out on one side the exact same way 5 times, and then I flipped it over on the back side, and these faces are laid out the exact same way. We're just changing up little things, the eyes, the eyebrows, the posture on the eyes, the mouth, and it gives each face a totally different appearance or look. That all started with just doing that. So anyway, that's the idea. And then that gives us, with this 2x2, 2 more corners to work on, this one and this one. So when we get done, my hope is that you will have maybe some ears on one side if we have time in that day to put some ears on this. Maybe some different eyes, some different mouths can fill up a whole other side of this block. So, but again, you'll go home hopefully with a 2x2 that's got all kinds of ideas on how to carve a caricature face. Caricature face, I said that hopefully with some emphasis, because that's what this is about. It's a caricature. It's not a realistic face. Caricature is exaggerated reality. There's if you think about the spectrum of art or the illustration of a human face, starting with cartoons, which are very, very different. They're mostly two-dimensional, and the features are incredibly exaggerated. Caricature is just taking what's real and well, exaggerating it, making noses bigger, making ears bigger, bigger smiles, bigger eyes, smaller eyes, bigger forehead, longer chin, any of those things to help just exaggerate what's already there. And then, of course, realism is just that. It's realistic. I don't try to do realistic. I've got some realistic caricatures, which are taking people, exaggerating their features, and then trying to put that to wood. So all of that being said, I think it's important to point out that understanding what realism looks like can be helpful when you start to lay out a face. There are people all over the map. Like I said earlier, I belong to the Caricature Carvers of America. Talked to 20 of these guys and gals, the best carvers in the country. They're at an incredible level, and they're all different. They've all got a different way of looking at carvings and human faces, and to highlight some of that, I got a couple books that I wanted to point out. Most recently, the CCA started putting together books. First one was The Eyes Have It. The second one was Read My Lips. I'm sorry, this was the third one. The second one's under somewhere, is the Pick Your Nose and Carve It. And the idea behind all these books is each one of the members of the CCA demonstrated their own style of carving. Here's my buddy Chris Hammock talking about how he does lips, but turn the page, and here's Bruce Henn, and he's got a totally different but very similar way of doing it. All of that to say, there's not a hard rule that says this is how you must do it. Like I said, if you're going to do realistic, well, you better get it right, or it won't look right. It won't look real if it's not done correctly. Caricature, it's your interpretation. It's how you want it to look. It's what you think it should look like. And as long as it sells the idea that those are human eyes and that's a human nose, that's what a mouth should look like, then okay, you're good. I mean, if someone looks at your carving and says, "What is that?" You probably missed the boat, missed the mark. If you're trying to carve a cowboy and they say, "What is that?" and it looks like I don't know, a cat. Well, you missed. So you'll develop your own style. You'll come up with your own way of doing it. And just because the CCA as membership points out 20 different ways, with, I don't know how many folks are in the room tonight, but all of the rest of you here tonight, you're going to come up with your own way of doing it. And it'll be how you do it.
Terry, let me just interrupt for a second.
Yeah, go.
Point out that any books that you reference, plus a few more, will be in a bibliography, and I'll send them out in a document so you don't have to take notes. You'll be able to find them. And those specifically, those CCA books are available through Caricature Carvers of America,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Maybe
And
at Amazon might have them too. I think we have one or two in our club library. They're pretty remarkable.
they are great books. They're short. I mean, each lesson is short. They're just very quick, but just here's the carver. Here's a brief exercise or tutorial to get you started. Here's a different way to look at different types of lips. That's what this book is. Read My Lips, and give you something to look at. And you might look at PJ's stuff. I'm a big fan of PJ. His stuff is really good. I go, God, I want to carve like this guy. Well, turn to his page and start picking up on some of his ideas and figure it out. But great references. The CCA books are there. Since we're talking about books, I'll go through a couple that I picked up that I think are helpful and have been very helpful to me. Marv Kaiser sat this book here, Caricature Heads, is some of the best stuff. He is where in these books each artist gets only 2 pages. This guy has probably 200 pages of how to lay out a caricature head from start to finish. And it goes into incredible detail. And it's very, very elementary, I guess, is a way to put it, where everyone can look at this book. And here's just an excerpt on how to carve noses, where he breaks down each step of carving the nose, and he's got great pictures and great references. If you can find this book, as I understand, it's becoming very hard to come by anymore. But Caricature Heads by Marv Kaiser sat, one of my favorites. That's a good one. Harold Enlow is a fantastic carver, and you'll see in here very quickly his style and my style are not the same. And what I'm getting at with that, and I'll talk about this when I start setting up my blocks here in a minute, is I carve everything on the corner. Start carving on the corner to get your nose and facial features blocked out. In a lot of cases, Marv, excuse me, Harold will just start on the face of a block, and you can see in this piece that he's got here, that's on the flat side of a block, which is a totally different way of looking at your wood. But if you're into a project and you got to carve a face on the flat side of a block, this is a great tool. So check out this one. This one is Fox Chapel put this book out, and I think it's available on the Fox Chapel website. This one here is not about caricature carving, but Ian Nordberry's book, Fundamentals of Figure Carving, is all about male faces, female faces, the human body, but it's about realistic stuff. So if you want to talk about carving in realistic form, this book is a fantastic reference. Highly recommend this one. I don't know where I picked this one up, but get something like this to sort of understand how the anatomy works. Larry and I were talking about this the other day, understanding what muscles go where and how muscles make your body work are helpful if you want to move in the direction of providing some realism to your carvings. And then another one that I find this helpful. I have a book here. It's called Facial Expressions for This is Babies and Teens. Somewhere around here, I have the adult version of this book. But if you want to carve a facial expression and you're like, how does a guy look if he's puzzled, if he's angry, if he's sad? You can go through this book, and I promise you, there's somebody in this book that looks like who you're trying to carve. And here's a little boy, and all these different expressions on his face. So when we talk later in this exercise tonight about smile lines, you can see on this young man's face the lines around his mouth. They change with each expression, and smile lines are a easy way to change up your carving and give it some life and some character and make it look like it has some movement or there's a story to be told. So if you can come across this book, again, this is the kids and teens to babies, babies to teens. Find the adult version of this. I have one somewhere around here. Another great reference. So, and then the last one is my most recent one that I picked up. Some of you are probably fans of Alex LaClasse and follow him on YouTube and his YouTube channel. Maybe you've been lucky enough to go to one of his classes. He carves a lot of bark with realism. And this book goes into a lot of detail about proportions and realism and adding that to your carving. Another fantastic reference. So if you get a chance to pick this one up, you should. All right, that's enough on books, I think. Larry, I'll send you a list with.
Yep, and I got
with
I got the notes here too. I'll just point out John Culver in Springfield, Oregon, donated his Ian Norbury videos to our library, his DVDs. And
Oh,
Norbury is very prolific.
yeah.
John tackled a few of his realistic. So if you're into that dimension, let me know.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, before I get to carving, which I think is what you wanted to get to, let me just talk for a minute about the face. As I said a minute ago, with that book on teens and babies, the smile lines, these lines, these creases on both sides of your nose, they change as your expressions change. So as you smile, they move up. When you frown, they come down. They do all kinds of things. So the smile lines, and I'll carve a couple here in a little bit, and they'll be pretty generic. But we'll try to change some of those things up in our classes and add some more movement to the pieces. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, I'll take my glasses off here, is the eyes. Your eyebrows go up and they go down, and that changes with your expressions and the way you're communicating and the way you are trying to tell your story. So it's going to be critical with your carving to take a look at your eyes and just ask yourself, what are the eyes telling me, or what are they trying to portray in the carving? And the easiest way to do that is change the angle of your eyes. When you're smiling, very subtly, the corners of your eyes go up, and when you're sad or you're frowning, the corners of your eyes go down. Remember, this is exaggerated reality, so we're gonna, when we're carving caricature, go over the top and make them go up way high or come way down, depending on what you're trying to do. And so this is an example of that eye angle that I was just talking about. So when I have a neutral resting face and I'm not really trying to make an expression, my eyes are pretty much straight across. The corners of my eye, the inside corner, outside corner, are flat. When I'm surprised, when I'm smiling, when I'm laughing, they go up. And so the outside corner of the eye is up higher than the inside corner of the eye. When I'm sleepy, when I'm drowsy, lazy, that outside corner goes down. You can see those angles are incredibly dramatic, but that's what we're talking about with caricature. You got to crank it up and make it more than what's normal. I mean, you might very subtly feel that change in the corner of your eye, but to put it out in a carving, crank it up and make it more than what's realistic or normal. I said a minute ago, when we change the corner, I gotta hold up. When you see change the corner so that the outside corners are up higher, If you change the eyebrows, you can do the same thing. Put that outside corner of your eyebrow up higher to create the angry look where the eyebrows are pointing down and my eyes are pointing down. Then I have this look that I'm mad or frustrated, cranky. So that's just a word about eye angle. It's just something to pay attention to when you're trying to set your carving up for a story where you want your person to look a particular way. Um, when we talk about eyeballs, the eye, uh, most of us think about the eye. And we've drawn them ever since we were little kids in this football shape, just an oval with kind of points on both corners, and we call that an eye. Well, to a point, that is what an eye looks like. But realistically, if you look around the room, I know we're virtual and it's hard to do here, but nobody's eye looks like that. Um, I'm looking at this picture right here and I'm matching it up with my eye, and I can see that, yeah, that's kind of how my eye looks. It's not symmetrical. It's much more pointed. And in fact, if you look at it like this, it's almost like a arrowhead shape, I guess, where the outside corners are much more thinner out here in the corners. And the biggest part, the widest part is almost to the inside corner of the eye. So be thinking about that when we start later tonight. And then if you come to my class next month, drawing your eye, try not to draw that football or that oval shape. It's got some dimension to it or some angle to it that's at first glance, first blush, it may not look right, but it is. That's what your eye probably looks like. Um, a word about this. Uh, Unfortunately, the longer you've been on this planet, uh, the more gravity has probably taken a hold of you and changed the way you look. When you were younger, in fact, I know when I was younger, I did not have this uh, fold over my eye. It was probably much more, in fact, I know it was, I got pictures to prove it, much smoother. And I didn't have this bag over my eyelid. Uh, Gravity changes the longer you've been around. So older caricatures, if you're going to carve an old cowboy, an older pirate, whatever you're carving, be thinking about that. How gravity is going to change the way your face looks. If you carved a guy that doesn't have any of this, and his eyes are up like this, it's going to be hard to express that he has got some age or some miles under his boots when you don't leave this angle and this ridge above your eyebrows. All of that um, to get to laying out a face. What I just told you about, this is a good example of a young woman. When you look at the corners of her eyes here, what I told you about the eye not being that football shape, well, look at that. It is. Her eyes are very much that football shape. But if I took that eye and I whacked that corner off right there and brought it down and gave her a little bit more of a bag right there, then she would be, well, she'd look a lot older. Again, look around the room. Older ladies are going to have that sagging in your skin, your muscle tone. It's gonna come down. Which takes me back to that point asked earlier about carving female faces. You want to carve this face, you're taking away a lot of those wrinkles and sharp edges and creases and rounding and smoothing and shaping to get that, which is much more difficult. Excuse me. I'm showing you this picture here just to give you an idea of how the human face is broken down. Generally, this is not, when we talk about caricature especially, not exclusive. It doesn't mean it has to look exactly like this in terms of dimension. In fact, I would encourage you to not do this. When you're doing caricature, you're going to stretch out chins, you're going to elongate foreheads, make bigger ears, all of those things that are going to help portray a caricature. some carvers will tell you, caricature carvers will tell you, forget about this. You don't need any of this stuff. Just start carving. And if it looks like a human face, you're good. A lot of people will tell you, no, you need to understand how a face is broken down to get you started. And then once you get this sort of mastered, then you could start playing with exaggerating realism to get to your caricature look. So I tend to agree with that. That's how I started, was learning about how the face was laid out, and that gave me a place to start, which I think is why most of us are here. Just tell me how to get started and how to break down a face so that I can carve one too. So let's start with this side over here. The human head is divided into thirds. So from the top of your head to the middle of your forehead here, this is 1/3 of your head. And then from your eyebrow line to the bottom of your nose, this is another third. And then from the bottom of your nose to the bottom of your chin is another third. So if you take your block of wood, whatever shape you're in, and however big it's going to be, just think about a third of it has got to be above the eyebrows, so you can have all this big dome up here. And then even more than that, if you're going to have big hair on top of the head, it's got to be even taller, so we can create that, illustrate that hair. So be thinking about whatever this dimension here is, you need at least this much here for your forehead, and then more if we're going to have that hair. So think about it in thirds: 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. The other way to look at it is cut it in half. From here to here is 1/2, and then from here to here is another half. So you've got 2 halves to the head. Generally, look around. Some people have longer heads. I'm one of them. Some people have short, squatty heads. But generally speaking, third, 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 or break it in half, and you've got a human head. So where do you put the mouth? Between the nose and the chin. Well, where does the mouth go? Generally, if you break this area, which is a third, into thirds, 1, 2, 3, you're going to start by coming down 1/3 of the way to the top of the lip. Second third is this spot right here, and then your bottom third is this area under your chin down here. So a third broken into thirds, that's where our mouth is going to go. And then let me start talking about the width of the head. Some of you may have heard this before, but the idea behind this illustration here is to show that the head is the width of 5 eyes. So everybody's head is 5 eyes wide. So if you look at this head right here, you have 1 eyeball width, 2 eyeball widths, 3 eyeballs between the corner of this eyeball and the corner of this eyeball, 4 eyes, 5 eyes wide. This is where I get to tell you that we're going to break this rule right off the bat. This area right here between the eyes should be the same width as this right here. I don't do that. Most caricature carvers are going to push this corner of the eye over tighter on both sides and make this area much smaller. Do that on a male carving. I told you I wasn't going to talk a lot about female carvings tonight. But my point is, do that on a male carving, push the eyeballs closer together, and it works. You can sell it and it looks great. Do that on a female and try to make her look pretty when her eyes are close together like that, and it doesn't work. It's different. So on a female face, you're going to probably run closer to this full eyeball width apart here, but on a male face, pinch them closer together, and I think you'll see here in a minute what I'm talking about. It works. How's that, Larry? Any questions so far? How are we doing?
We're fine with questions. I mean, we'll let you get started on the wood side of that. And I'll come back to that proportional stuff. I'm always confused personally. And on your diagram, the top horizontal line kind of looked like it hit the middle of the head as opposed to the top of the skull. And so it's going to be, yeah, it's kind of a question when you have a figure, you have no hair in your head, but she has hair in her head. So it kind
Right.
of looks like, I'm not quite sure that's at the top of her dome,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right. I see this right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, this is all going to change. Like I said, it's generally what we're talking about. It's a third or close to it of your head should be up in your forehead. But people are people. They're all different. And these are just generalizations that will just help you get started. I got a carving here somewhere. I've hidden it away. I worked on it a long time ago and I spent a lot of time on it. I was really proud of it. I was excited about where it was going. In my head, I saw it and it was going to be really cool. And then I got looking at the face and I couldn't figure out what the heck, why doesn't this work? What's wrong with it? And then I realized that I had no room. Like here's an example. I just carved this tonight while I was waiting for you guys to show up. But this uh, third.
Hold it facing your camera. So there we go. So we can.
Okay, so what I want to show you is from the side here. From here, I'm sorry, from here to here is a third. From here to here is another third. From here to here should be another third. Well, in this carving that I did, I only had about that much forehead. And I thought, where am I going to put the guy's hair? How am I going to put hair on a carving when I'm trying to show that this guy's got hair when I've only got forehead that goes to there? And that was the top of the block. I got so frustrated. I thought I'm not going to quick wood a scalp on this guy. So I don't know. It's in my junk box somewhere around here. I don't know how to come back to it. But anyway, just think about that as you're carving. I'll try not to make that mistake again. I'll leave plenty of room for a forehead and then hair on top of that. You can always give the guy a haircut, give him a flat top, whatever you want to do, but you can't put it back. You can't grow it. You can't restore the top of the head. And if you don't have it, it isn't going to look right. If you're doing a cowboy, you're going to hide it under the hat. So this guy, you can't see the top third because the cowboy hat comes down on top of the head right there. And it just gives you the illusion that something's going on and there's head going up into the hat, but you can't really see it. So this one, I did this a while back and just doodling it, but it illustrates the point I made earlier about that 5 eyes wide business. If you look at the eyes here, the width, but the distance between this corner of the eye and this corner of the eye is nowhere near the width of that eye. They're closer together. Maybe half an eye wide is that distance there. You might get that eyeball width from here to here, maybe, but that distance in the middle is what I'm talking about when I say go less than 5 eyes. Here's that pirate I showed you earlier. This guy, not quite as close together, but the distance from here to here and here to here, a little bit closer together in the center. Does that help, Larry?
Yeah. Yep.
Santa Claus here, another one, same kind of thing. Just think about squishing them together. It's subtle. It's not a big deal, but it just helps. We're not going cartoon. When I say cartoon it up a little bit, it just helps celebrate the idea that this is caricature, not realistic. All right. Any other questions? Is that
All set. Why don't you put knife to wood?
knife to wood? Let's go. How are we doing on time?
We're fine.
All right. I want to stress something. I don't know how many times I've seen people carving on YouTube and they don't wear gloves. My biggest fear is in carving is cutting myself. My second biggest fear is carving and cutting myself in front of 50 people. So I had an incident here in my garage, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, where I pushed a knife all the way through my finger and the blade came out the top up here with the glove on. And I couldn't imagine what that might have done to my finger if I didn't have one of these on. So I don't know. They always say that when I see these guys on YouTube doing this, that you can't see the carving when I'm carving with a glove on. I think it's BS. I don't know about you, but I can see that wood in my hand just fine. In fact, I see it better with this colored glove on. Um, all that to say, put your damn glove on when you're carving. Don't risk hurting yourself and getting hurt. I always wear a glove, and I always tape up my thumb. About need to replace this one, but this is a vet wrap. For those of you not familiar, vet wrap, you can get it at Coastal Farm and Ranch, Wilco, any place that sells veterinary supplies. But get an 1.5 inch, 2 inch wide roll. It'll last you for a while. Tape up your thumb, and you will be better for it. All right, I'm just going to use a 2 inch block that I've ripped in half, and I'll tell you real quickly a trick because I've been asked before. Well, how do you get that block? You got to build the jig. This jig is just simply a 2x4 that I ripped at a 45-degree angle on my table saw, laid it open on a small piece of plywood. I screwed it down, and now you have a jig, and you just clamp this in your bandsaw up against the fence and run it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a slice there where I run it in the blade about 3 inches, and it gives me a great place to slide this through and end up with these chunks. Then I cut them to lengths. I cut them in 3 inch. I do a lot of these during Christmas time. I did a lot of Santas out of blocks like this. I think this is a 3 inch block, and a guy like this cowboy here is out of turn it around here, a 4 inch block. So this is where I when I do faces, I'm doing ornaments. Make a jig and rip your 2x2s in half, and it can be a place to start. So, as I said earlier, I think I did, that I like to start my faces on the corner of a block. And I do that because we instantly have material here for our nose. You've probably seen this drill before, but if you take your hands and put them in a square like this, and then put that up on your face like this, you have a square. I mean, your face is on the same plane as a square block. So it makes sense to me that we put our nose out on this corner here, and that's where we get started. As I told you earlier, Harold Enlow doesn't do it. A lot of times he just starts right on there. I got an example of his stuff right here. Starts on the flat part of a block. Got to take off a lot more wood. It's his way of doing it, and his stuff is fantastic, but just not the way I have come along in this. So just think about that. Get your corners and get your blocks cut and start carving. So anyway, I got my 2x2 cut in half, 3 inch block. I'm going to just start cutting here. The first cut that I'm going to make, I guess I should put my camera down. Larry, you got to tell me about right here. Is this working? Are you there?
Looks good to me, Terry.
What happened to Larry?
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, it's fine, Terry. It's
All
fine.
right, so let me scare me for a minute. I thought I lost you guys. So right about there?
Yeah, it's fine.
It looks good.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to use this pencil for illustration. I'm going to start with a notch somewhere. I'm just going to start right about there for the eyebrow line, and I'm going to split it into thirds roughly, and I'm just going to roughly put a mark here. That's about where my the bottom of my nose is going to go. And then I'll start another line. Let's just say about right here for my chin. Um, I'm using this block. It's 3 inches long. It's a bit long for the face that we're going to carve, but you can do something kind of like this. This was just messing around tonight. Like I said, waiting for you guys to show up. Just um, throwing chips and then throwing cuts into a block and see what comes out of it. But that's pretty darn close to what I've done. So anyway, eyebrow, bottom of nose, bottom of chin. So let's start cutting. So we'll just start out with just a series of cuts, and we're going pretty deep into eyebrow line, and I'm creating the top of the nose. I'm going to come down about that line right there and start cutting into what's going to be the bottom of the nose. I'm going pretty deep. And this all here, this wood here is going to go away. This is going to start the mound, dental mound that creates the mouth. So I'll just make that go away for now. And I can do the same thing on top where I start to sort of round off the forehead. And here we are. So I've got a cut there and a cut there, and then somewhere down here-ish, I'll just put a mark here and get something started so I can kind of see where the mouth is going to, or I'm sorry, the bottom of the chin is going to be. I'll start angling that back a little bit. That'll be the lower part of the jaw. I'm going to take some more of this off. So now I've got bottom of chin, bottom of nose, and eyebrows. For reference, I don't know if anybody's keeping track here, but I've started this whole process here with a 2-inch Helvey. I believe this is what he calls a rough out blade. This is a blade that I prefer when I'm trying to make big chips and take away a lot of wood very quickly. Here in a few minutes, I'm going to switch over and I'm going to go to a different Helvey knife that's got a flex blade, which I prefer to use for detailing. And then here in a minute, I'm going to use a couple different gouges that'll help me make some different chips. So anyway, if you have any questions about the knives or what am I using or how did you get that, just chime in and fire away with your questions. All right, so I'm just cleaning this up a little bit, just trying to get my my nose kind of started. We could, we're at a point here where this is a blank canvas, and we can make any kind of face that we want out of this. We got eyes, we got a nose coming along here, we got a mouth area, bottom of a chin. I don't know. Let's just do kind of maybe a kind of a wry, half smile, smirky kind of thing going on here. When we do a smile where one side of the mouth is up higher than the other, that's going to change a little bit in how we lay out our smile lines. Our smile lines, if I was doing a neutral face where there wasn't a lot going on, I might make the smile lines just go straight down like that. And the guy's just sitting there, not much to say about his expression with his smile lines. But if I change them up and I make one of them go a little bit higher than the other and make his smile crooked, then I got this crooked smile and a little bit different look to his face. So, I see as I put this pencil line on here, from here to here, I'm right at about half. Well, maybe we talked a minute ago about being a third, a third, and a third. So I'm a little bit low on that mouth. I might raise it up, put it about right here. All right, so switch up and get me a detail knife. Again, this is a Helvey flex blade detail knife. I get to play with how wide I want the nose to be. I want this guy to have a great big wide nose, narrow, skinny little nose. I'll split the difference and um, put the side of his nose right about there. Now, see, this is the thing about caricature. There's no rule. I just go, well, I kind of like it right there. And I go with it. As I was talking, I don't know if you saw me do this, but I pushed that knife in alongside of what's going to be the side of his nose. And I went in pretty deep. And you can see that knife is just hanging there. That's about how deep I went. This is one of those places where knife control becomes critical. And what I mean by that is, you saw how deep I went with that cut right there. When I do the cut to match that on this side over here, I want to make sure that I go down at least that far. Otherwise, that's going to break off in a way that's going to require me to clean it up. And sometimes that's hard to do. But I got to push this down here. I don't want that tip to go into the nose, so I got to push it straight down. And I'm going to make that smile line go up into that corner a little bit. I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to come down. And as I'm coming down, I'm dragging it down, and then I'm going to let the knife come out and pop out of the wood at about the bottom of his mouth. So I started in pretty deep, and then I drug it out so that it comes out down here at the bottom of the mouth. Now I'm going to go up at an angle and take that chip out.
But Terry, you can do that because you've got a thinner, flexible blade. Is that right? If you tried to do that with your roughing knife, could you have done that same?
You can. You can. I mean, it's not. I'll just switch knives on you here. It's not. It's a preference thing. I mean, you could do a whole entire face with this rough out knife, but once you've used a rough out knife and then switched, if you have the luxury to a flex blade detail knife, well, then you'll do it every time. It's just I don't know. Going back to my golf analogy, you shoot something with a 5-iron. Does that mean you do it every time? You can make it with a 6. You can probably do it with a 4, but a 5 is going to suit you the best. Well, carving knives I find to be the same way. You could do it with a 2-inch rough out knife, this great big thing over here, but you might not have the same success, and you might get frustrated and go, dang, I wish my knife was it's a little bit more flexible and gave me a little bit more latitude. So, Larry, that didn't answer your question, except to say yes and no. If you have the luxury, do it. If you don't, this knife will work just fine. Does that help you at all?
Yep.
All right. So now I'm going to go the other side of the nose. I got one side going. This side, I got to go same distance the other way, straight down. Again, I'm pushing it in the face about the same distance. Now this side, because I'm going to do this funny smile here, I'm not going to push that smile line up in the corner as much. I'm just going to go straight down, more or less, and create that line to come down there. And then when I get down to the bottom of the mouth, I'm going to let that knife slide out to where I stop cutting and the knife pops out. Push that up in there and take that chip out. This is an area where the angle of your knife becomes important. I just did it. A mistake that is very common. If I don't have the angle here, I went in a little bit too steep this way. It creates that smile line with a real hard crease right there. And when you look around, some people, their smile lines are really defined and deep and have that crease, and that's what you're going for, then do it. But what I did on this side, you can see that my angle of the smile line is much more softer over here. On this side, I went in a little bit too hot and carved it with not much angle. So I'm going to soften it up a little bit to try to get them to match. Is it critical? Is it a deal breaker? Not really, but just something I like to pay attention to. So let me give myself a little bit more chin here. The mouth. We talked about this idea of thirds, 1/3 to the top, another third to the bottom, and then the rest of the way down to the chin. So I'm going to find a spot below the mouth and below the lip. If you think about where you've got a dent. We all do it. We all have one. Unless you have a mustache, a beard, you can see that dent right there. I'm just going to go straight down that way and straight up this way and create this divot that we all have in the bottom of our chin right here. And then I'm going to go up here to this mouth, straight in, going pretty deep. And I'm just following that line that sort of illustrates where the mouth is going to go. Now, I haven't done eyes yet, but something to think about. I didn't talk about this with the pictures I shared with you a minute ago, but generally, the outside corner of your mouth, if you go straight up the carving here, is going to line up with the middle of where your eyeball is. Generally. Now, when we're talking about caricature, you could pull this corner of the mouth way up and out here and give him a really crooked smile. If somebody is pursing their lips or they're whistling or blowing a kiss, you'll pinch those lips in and make them maybe not even as wide as the nose. So again, just think about this in generality. Center of the eye is about the outside corner of the mouth. Bottom lip, I generally just I peel that off a little bit and kind of round it over. The top lip is a little bit different. If you look at our lips, we have here I'm pointing to my face and you can't see what I'm pointing at, but we have this shape, and there's a term for it. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but where the lips sort of flare out a little bit on both sides. So if I find the center of the lip, which is about right there, I'm going to take one chip off this side and another chip off that side, and it's going to give me the illusion that I have this thing going on with my lips. Round it off a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It's a small chip. It's very subtle, but you can see the difference is where the bottom lip was all one cut, the top lip was two cuts. The bottom lip needs to go up underneath the top lip. So very simple way to do that, very subtle way to do it is just poke your knife right in the corner of the mouth right there and take a small chip off the top right there and then maybe a little bit bigger one off the bottom. I'll do the same thing on this side, little poke. And then take another chip off the bottom. And I've given the illusion now that the lip overhangs just slightly over the top of the bottom lip. All right, and then I can clean this up a little bit and give it a little more definition on that bottom lip by taking off a little bit more wood. Change that up a little bit. Take a little bit of that chin off there. All right, how we doing? So far, so good?
Yep.
All right, I'm just gonna keep, I'm sorry, go ahead, Larry.
Yep, looks fine.
Uh, I'll keep going uphill here. I'll start at the bottom. Little details that are usually saved till the very end, but I'll start at the bottom and I'll keep going uphill. I'll poke some nostrils in this guy right now. You think about the center of the nose. Um, One way to do it, and I've seen a lot of people do it, is just take your little your dockyard micro gouges and just push it straight into the head. Fine, I've seen it. I've done it myself. Here's another one with my this is about a 5 millimeter U gouge. Just hog out 2 creases on the bottom of the nose, and it looked fine. But I can tell you that once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It just looks like someone took a gouge and hogged out the bottom of the nose. Most of the time, it's not, I don't know, it just looks fine, but looks like a gouge. This one is a little bit more complicated. I say that because it's can be dangerous. Only dangerous. What I mean is you could end up cutting the whole nose off the face when you do it this way. But practice it. Here's the center mark. I don't know if you can see that, but the center mark of my nose, your septum, just split it, and I go maybe I'll make this maybe an 1/8 of an inch wide, and I'll just put a line right down the middle of the nose, or not down the middle, off to the side. I'll go left and right, but I'm poking it through there pretty deep, and then I'm going to start up here at the top, pushing it in pretty deep, and I'm carefully pushing that down in there. It's pretty deep, and then I'm going to go up underneath. If I can get that to break off and hog that out of there. We'll do the same thing on the other side of the septum. Push that in there and then try to get that chip to come out. All right, I got to tell you that in addition to cutting myself or cutting my fingers in front of all of you, cutting the nose off of a carving in front of all of you is going to be my second most embarrassing thing. But I made it. I didn't cut the nose off. I've done it. The knife slips. You push too hard, whatever, and boom, there goes your nose. But now I have nostrils. I will just take a little bit of wood off each one to round them up a little bit and give them a little bit of personality.
So question, Terry, is
Sure.
Doug, is whether you ever start with the eyes and work down instead of up, or do you typically go chin up?
Yes, no, it doesn't matter. I think only for the purposes of this exercise, I start at the bottom and I'm working my way up just to sort of stay with each thing. I think if I'm doing my own thing and I'm carving on my own, I'm all over the map. I'll start in one place. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that, and work my way around the carving. I wish I had. I could tell you that I do it the same way every single time, and this is how I do it. I've just not been able to come up with a pattern or a strategy to say that this is how I do it every single time. I was carving. I don't know if Angie's here tonight, but I think it was up at Julie's place. Maybe it was here. But recently I was carving with her, and I was trying to show her something, and she caught me and she said, "But that's not how you did it. Why did you do it that way?" I didn't have an answer for it except to say, I don't know. It felt good. It felt right. And I don't know. But she was paying attention and was attentive enough to know that, well, that's not how you did it last time. Um, so I don't know, Larry.
Another question I had, just my own frustration in my own life. When you made that very first cut for the eyebrows,
Right here.
yeah, you cut you took 2 or 3 whittles out and you created a V. You
Right.
then proceeded without saying anything to take out quite a bit more. You started carving the eye well. It looks like you took quite a bit out. Is that what you're doing at the in the eyes? Are you starting to create the eye sockets, or is there gonna be a lot more taken out?
I'm gonna take some more out here in just a second. Yeah, this is gonna go down even deeper right here. So, which brings me to, well, I'll tell you right now, one of the most important things about the face is that the inside corner of the eye, this part right here, has to be the deepest part of your wood carving. And if I turn it sideways, I don't know if you can see it with, I'll put my pencil alongside of it here. I don't know if that illustrates what I'm talking about. Right now, the deepest part, well, the top of my mouth and the top of the nose are about the same depth. This corner right here has to go back even farther, to where when you turn your carving sideways, this part right here becomes invisible and disappears. So ideally, here in a few minutes, when I get this inside corner of the eye blocked out, you won't, at this angle, you won't be able to see it. You'll turn it around this way and it'll become very apparent. So Larry, I guess to go back to your question of a second ago about where do I start? There's a lot of times, put this pencil on, a lot of times on a carving, I will, um, there'll be something about the face that I really want to capture. Like the eyes on this one have got to be telling the story. So I'm going to focus my attention on the eyes and try to make the eyes do what I want them to do. So I start on my eyes. The other times it's, maybe I want to do the mouth, something about the mouth. Maybe there's teeth, and I want to. I'm excited about that part. And I'm going to get there. And so I'll go like this. I'll do the mouth first and get my teeth going, and then I'll go back up and do the eyes. So I don't know.
Jerry, we had a request. You're carving with your chin toward you. It helps for the audience to see it turned around more often.
Like
So,
this.
yeah, like that, or
Okay.
even more so that it's the chin is, there we go. And you probably ought to center it up, move it a little bit toward the camera a little bit, with right there. That is centered right now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That you're not seeing it the way I'm seeing it. So, unfortunately for you, I can't carve upside down. So I have to turn it back around here in a second. But
Just flip it around a little, every once in a while.
But I got to tell you that doing this reminds me of a tip that I picked up a long time ago that I share all the time. As you're carving, turn your piece upside down when you look at it, and you will see things that your eye was tricking you all along to tell you that it was correct, and it wasn't. And I didn't see it until I turned it upside down. Maybe you've been seeing it all along and been wondering how come he's carving that face crooked. But now that it's upside down, I can see very clearly that this eye socket is way bigger than this eye socket. I'm gonna turn it upside down and see if you can see the same thing I'm seeing. Is it as obvious to you in 2D as it is to me in 3D? That this eye socket has to be bigger.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So I'm gonna get carving and get this piece, this side, take a little bit more wood off there and get my eye sockets. Now that's much more close. All right, let me do one more thing to the nose and finish this up, the nose, and then I'll get back up to the eyes. I got to take out a chip on both sides of the nostrils. And then we can call the nose finished or close to it. Just got to take out a chip and get the nostrils. All right. So what I'm going to do is I got to create this. Excuse me. I'm going to get a drink of water real quick. I got to take out the wood on both sides of the nose to create the inside corners of the eye. So to do that, I'm going to take this is a stew by, I think it's a 5 millimeter, I believe, number 11. This is a deep U gouge. And I've come to really appreciate these deep U's on these stew buys. I have I think a 3 millimeter, a 5 millimeter, an 8 millimeter. And they work very well. Anyway, I'm taking this and I'm starting at the bottom of the nose and I'm going right up the side of the nose and I'm leaving that really cool eyelash on one side. I'll start here on this other side. I'll push it right up on the side there and pull it out and I'll create those fancy little eyelashes. And that does two things. One, it tells me that my knife is sharp and I created that continuous strip like that. But it also gives me a clean place to cut this off at the end. I don't want to break that off. I don't want to try to force it with the gouge and scoop that out because I'll end up with a funny looking groove at the top of the nose and under the eye that's just not going to work. So what you want to do is after you've made that funny little curly eyelash there, just cut it off. So go right at the top of where your eye's going to go and cut that off. Do the same on the other side. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this corner right here, we're getting close. Again, deepest part of the face needs to be right there. Now I'm going to take this and just relieve some of this wood, ease that off, and bring that down even with that trough that I just created with my gouge. Made a little scratch there. Got a little too aggressive. All right. Now we're getting to the eyes. Eyes are one of those things where if you put 20 carvers in a room, I'll have 20 different ways to do this. I'm going to show you one way to do it. This is not exclusive, and this does not mean that you have to do it this way. Try it, though. See what it does for you, and if it works, do it. If it doesn't work and you don't like it, let's figure something out. But what I want to do, just to continue with my line of thinking about making that corner the deepest part, and then it helps me to create the inside corner of the eye and giving it that round shape that I want to go from here to the outside corner. I'll push this inside corner in by taking a chip cut. I'll go in pretty deep on both sides and break that off.
So that's the tear duct you're dealing with. That's
Yep, I'm right in that inside corner of the eye. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm going right in there. Now, I did what I didn't want to do, and that is break it off. It happens from time to time, and same thing on the other side. Now I've got the inside corner on the other side. Now you'll see that the distance, I was telling you earlier about this, the distance from here to here is going to be a little bit tighter than the distance from the outside corner of my eye over here. It's just pushing those corners closer together. I'm going to take a V tool, and I learned the hard way that carve your upper eyelid before you get too far into this. I've tried to carve my upper eyelid after the eyeball is cut, and I end up breaking off the eyelid into the eye. It creates more work, and it's makes it a little more difficult. Let's carve an eyelid up here on both sides now, and continue this idea of setting this up, and then it'll be ready for me here in just a second. So I've got a V tool. This is a Drake Helvy. Oh, it's about a, I don't know, what is that, a 3/8 V tool. And I'm just going to follow that line and ease up that eyelid. A little bit more. Can you all see that now? I've just created an eyelid right there on both sides. And I got to find and I got to identify the outside corner of the eye. I'm going to come downhill just a little bit on both sides. Remember, I'm going to come up and then down, and then I'm going to create sort of that diamond or arrowhead shape that I discussed earlier, rather than that oval with that football look to it. When I draw this out with my knife, which is really all I'm really going to do, I'm going to push it in to the corner of the eye, and I'm going to pull it out slightly as I'm drawing across the top. And then when I get to the corners, I'm going to push it down in, and it'll help me create that chip in the corner that we need to do. So I'm going to go along there, come down, and start to go a little bit deeper. It's subtle, but it's a little bit deeper. Inside corner, I'm dragging it along, come across, and then go back in. And then I'm going to take this corner, break it off. And I'm rounding over the eyeball by just taking off that chip. All right, the outside corner of the eye and your upper eyelid, we need to have some illusion that the upper eyelid is folding over the top of the bottom one. So I drug that line down just a little bit, and now I'm going to take this chip out underneath and give us the idea that we have some overhang in the eyelid. I see a boo-boo. I'm going to take my dockyard. This is a tiny little dockyard. This is a 1.5 millimeter V tool. The V tool that I used to create this for eyelid, I didn't go deep enough in the corner, so I got some cleanup to do here. I'm going to use this little dockyard here and push that down in the corner. I'm sorry I'm carving upside down for you guys, but
So just turn it right side up so we can take a look, maybe.
is that helpful? Can you see that now?
Move it a little bit closer to the phone camera so we can maybe see it zoomed up a little bit. Yeah, that's better.
All right. So one thing left to do on this eye is I need to create the bottom eyelid and then sort of an eye bag thing going on down here. So what I will do is I'll use my pencil and show you here. I'm just going to take out a chip right here. And that'll give me the eye bag and the lower eyelid that we're looking for. So I take my knife and I'm going to really steep angle here where I'm almost going flat against the eye, underneath the eyelid, dragging it across there, and then scoop that chip out. So it's going to look like so. It broke off. Go back to my dockyard here. This tiny little V tool. Clean that up. Now, depending on how old your caricature is, we have wrinkles and crow's feet in the corners of the eyes. The other thing that we have is uh, perhaps wrinkles under the eyes. I'm just taking a little bit of wood off here to sort of round off this cheek. Uh, the flat part of the 2x2 was still exposed there. So you can do this with a knife and just make some tiny little chips. For this demonstration, I'm just going to take my V tool and put a couple little uh, wrinkles under under the bags, and then give them a couple crow's feet wrinkles here. And I use this brush. I think I got this at Winco or Safeway in the the cleaning supply section. They've got all these different brushes for cleaning, and I think this is a vegetable brush, but it works really good for cleaning the fuzzies off of your carving. So if you ever get a chance to get a little brush like this, a lot of people have stuff like this in your tool bag, just these old denture brushes. They're fine, they work great, but man, when I discovered this guy, I can really get after it. So look for a brush like that. All right. We've got one eye. Let me poke the other one in, and let's see where we're at. So same rules, just opposite side of the face. Remember, I'm pushing it down in the corner just slightly so that I can break that chip off when I get to it. Like that. And then take the inside corner of the eye, come down, take that chip off. I'm going to create the lower eyelid and an eye bag on this side. I'll use my tiny little dockyard here. Clean that up.
You find yourself using that little dockyard quite a bit?
This little guy here, I was oh boy, I got a whole bunch of little V tools. This little uh Drake, this is a great V tool. I love it. But I'll tell you, I picked up the dockyards and I didn't use them for a long time, but then I started there's something about being able to get down on this. It's almost the control of this being able to get right down on top of it, the cutting surface that is. I just really appreciate it, and I really enjoy using the little dockyards. That surface, the cutting surface on that, isn't much smaller than this Drake here, and this Drake would do the exact same thing. But see, I'm having to choke up on it to
The
get
handle
the
gets in
same.
the way. Yeah, the
Yeah,
handle,
no, go ahead, Larry.
yeah, the handle gets in the way, it looks like.
Yeah, and well, you can see when I'm out here hanging onto the handle, how far out the cutting surface is. It works, but when I can choke up on it and get right down on it, I mean, I can put my finger right next to the cutting surface. I just feel like I have a lot more control. I'm right here with it, and I just really enjoy it. So you like I said earlier, this thing about golf clubs and knives are one and the same. You'll find for some people the dockyard works really good. Some people go, it's too small for me. I like a little bit bigger handle. It's yeah, try it. If you get a chance to use a little dockyard like this, you might have the same experience and think it works for you.
I've got to look at the tool list we put on for the Faces class, but you're using 4 tools now, right? You got the 2 knives, you got a 11.5, and you got the dockyard V. So those are and a brush, right? Those are sort of the basic tools you have in a pencil.
Yep. If you got a knife, a gouge and a small V tool, either one like this or this, for the small details would be great. And then a bigger one. Yeah. And for anybody who's here tonight that doesn't have it, I would say don't run out and buy one. Well, unless you want to, come to the class and I'll have this stuff here and you're welcome to play with it, experiment and try it and go, hey.
Yeah, and I'll have some from the tool library as well to borrow. It's
Yeah.
about 20 minutes to 9, Terry. So we have
All right. Let me do about 2 more
10
things
more
here, 3
minutes
more
or
things.
so. Yeah.
I'm gonna real quickly, I'll show you. I'll just use this 5 millimeter gouge here, and I'm gonna take a little divot out of the chin to give that little thing going on there. And then I'm gonna go upstairs from the lip just a little bit, and I'm gonna push this up right up underneath the septum there to create that the snot trough, as some people call it, underneath the nose. And I'm gonna do the same thing right up here between the eyes. And this is going to go up quite a ways, but I'm going to knock that off in just a second. But I'm going to create that little divot that goes between the eyebrows. I'm going to go really quickly here. I'll cut most of that off and create that illusion that we have a little bit of height of our eyebrow. Push that up. And then these are just little tiny things here. Taking that little V tool and I'll throw some eyebrow on each side. I try not to go. You see eyebrows where people take their V tool and run them straight up like this. I like to start out with them almost straight up, but then as I get off to the side, the angle changes and I'm getting out here and going almost vertical. And these are just scratches more than they are. Maybe a little bit thicker, a little bit deeper in the middle. We can put a couple worry lines in between the eyes and very quickly round off that eyebrow a little bit more. Got a sharp edge there. Just a couple little things that we can add to it to just add a little bit of realism or emotion to your carving, and that is to put some lines in the forehead. Let me see. Let me put some graphite on here and give the illusion that we have some eyeballs so we can see what kind of emotion we're showing here.
Hold it, rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. Yeah, and then just kind of rock it back and forth so we get the shadows. Yeah. And then the other way. There we go.
Yeah, and then we'll if you're doing a block, then you can peel the sides off and I'll just. Now this was going to be a Santa Claus. We could round this off and put a beard on it and make a Santa ornament out of it. Round off the head, put a Santa hat on it. But this is just the basics of caricature face. And as I said earlier tonight, when we get down to our class next month, we'll start with this, but then we'll change it up and we'll start putting big smiles and frowns and sad eyes and sleepy eyes, and we'll close the eyes, we'll open the mouth, we'll put teeth on it. Anything you want to do to change it up, but we have to get first establish the basics, the cuts that get us to where we are right now, and then start changing it up. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and if there's any questions, we can close it up with your thoughts and.
Bring out your pilgrim and upside down. You had two different eyes in that pilgrim. You had one wide open and one kind of squinty, as I recall.
The Oh, the pirate did.
A pirate, right, the pirate, yeah, the pirate.
Yeah, the pirate, let me, get to where I can see what I'm trying to show you here. Yeah, the pirate has, he's looking kind of side eye at his, parrot buddy there. Um, yeah, I did where is he? Native American carving that we did last Thanksgiving, and this is one where I talked earlier about the side angle, the corner angle of the eye. You can see how much lower that outside corner of the eye is, and it just gives the idea of I don't know, sadness or disappointment or I don't know. It's just I don't know. I couldn't see this guy with his eyes up and big smile on his face. It just doesn't sell it to me when you start talking about a Native American caricature. This guy here, he's looking at his kind of side eye at his parrot. So those are a couple examples of what you want the eye to say in your piece. And so to go back to what I was telling you earlier, Larry, about figuring it out. And sometimes I go, well, I want to make sure I get these eyes right. I'm going to start with the eyes and poke those eyes in and see where that takes me before I get too far on this carving. So,
Yeah, well, let's see if there are any questions that
sure.
didn't appear in the chat. I'm gonna take the spotlight off and see who's awake. Oh, everybody's awake. Okay.
Everybody still here? Am I talking to myself?
They're not snoring. That's good. Probably the East Coast people dropped off. There's probably bedtime there.
Yeah, way past your bedtime.
So are there any questions? Any observations? Sharp knives help, right? Softwood. Astonishing how a face appears out of nothing, right out of a brick. You're right, Patrick. Pretty amazing.
Well, look, I'll keep talking while people are typing in their questions. If you got any, I'd love to hear them now. Otherwise, you can reach out to me. Larry can connect you with me. But I'm interested in hearing your feedback. If this conversation was helpful, I know that what we got here tonight in this little tiny block is only the beginning. But let me know what you think of this method of instruction and how we can crank it up and make it even more effective for you as we move this along.
Yeah, where's a good place to buy dockyard tools was asked.
Well, I think they're still being made. I've heard. I don't have any experience with it, but I have heard there's been some issues with quality as of late. I think Clark Moss just put up a link. I just popped up on my screen there. Thank you, Clark. I don't have that experience. I've just been told that the quality wasn't there. Somebody, I think I saw something about, are they vintage? Older ones? Yes, I bought these secondhand from a fellow carver who somehow fell into a stash of them on eBay, and he sold these to me for a song.
Yeah,
And
Clark put a URL in the chat to Dockyard USA, dockyardtoolusa.com /products. So that would be a starting point. I've seen them on advertised on Amazon. Sometime in the past, Cascade Carver Supply, when they were still in business, would sell them at the Coastal Carver Show.
yeah,
And my understanding from Jeff Harness, who Terry and I share a mentorship with, said they stopped making them, but then people started wanting to buy them, so they started making them again. And that's my understanding. They're pretty readily available.
there are. I have a couple. I don't have a whole set, but I have a couple of Gil Drake's versions. Of course, Gil is not making knives, or his son isn't making knives at the level that he was in terms of numbers. So I don't even know if he's making this anymore, but these little Drake version of these dockyards are pretty darn cool. So if you can ever find these, get them. These are handy little knives.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think final call, last beer, last time, last call for the before the bar closes up here. Any questions? Okay, Jim, right, we'll celebrate. So thank you all. Some of you have already signed up for the one-day workshop. The February 8th will be the first time. So, Terry and I concocted this idea last fall and said, let's concentrate on the hard parts and see where it goes. And that might evolve into some other variations. I've been struck personally by seeing Chinese masks, the facial expressions in Chinese images and done in pottery. It is absolutely stunning. I mean, the whole nother mechanism to play around with. You could do this in clay, right? You could
Sure.
around and just change it off and smoosh it down, and so we can play in lots of different dimensions here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out, remind folks that this weekend, I hope to see you all at the Coastal Carvers show. I'm going to be doing a presentation on finishing your carvings, specifically antiquing, and I'm going to do 3 different versions of antiquing on carvings. So I'll have some faces, and I'll finish them in front of the crowd, and then the Capital Wood Carvers show coming up in March. I'm going to do basically what I just did tonight, but with emphasis on Santa Claus. And I'll do the same thing with a Santa Claus face, where I'll put beard and Santa hat and the whole 9 yards on a Santa. So if you want to get an idea of how to turn this into Santa Claus, come to the Capital Woodcarver show in March.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, Leslie made a suggestion that we have a raking light on the image so that we get better shadows on the screen.
Wow,
That would help.
good.
That's good. Thank you,
That's
Leslie.
good feedback.
That's pretty great. Okay, let's call it quits for tonight, and hopefully see you somewhere along the lines. We do these once a month, and topics are always different. But thank you for joining. See you next time.
Larry, thank you.
Terry, thank you very much. Appreciate
All right.
it.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.